3 days. Not a single recorded word. No phone, no distraction. No one to talk you out of it. Most of us will never experience that kind of isolation. But we all know what it feels like. You're sitting with a decision that won't let you sleep. Maybe it's a business decision. Maybe it's about someone you love. Maybe it's about your own future. And the more you think about it, the worse it gets. Because left alone long enough, the mind becomes a very convincing liar. You call it thinking. But it's not thinking, it's looping. You've already considered every outcome. You've already imagined every failure. And you're doing it again and again. Psychology calls this anticipatory anxiety, your brain's way of trying to control the future by rehearsing the worst version of it. Scientists call it mental rumination. Leaders call it due diligence. Your body calls it stress. But here's what it actually is. It's a mental cage you built, and you're pacing inside it. And here's the dangerous part. You're starting to believe the mental loop. Give isolation enough time, and fear starts masquerading as logic. You make decisions from inside the cage, from fear, not clarity. So what happens when someone else, someone ancient, someone with everything to lose, got stuck in that exact same cage? And what he learned there could change how you face yours right now. Abraham, a man who built something that mattered, a leader, a father, a provider, carrying the weight of an entire family's future.
After all these years of waiting, the promise is fulfilled. You are our laughter, little one.
After decades of waiting, he finally received the son he had been promised. Isaac, the child he loved. The child who held the promise of tomorrow. Then God asked Abraham for the one thing that would break him. Not his wealth, not his reputation, not his comfort. His son, Isaac. And Abraham has 3 days to walk toward that mountain. 3 days. Just him and his thoughts. No one to convince him that he's making the right choice. No one to talk him down from the catastrophe that his mind is building. The most dangerous conversations are often the ones that happen inside your own head, and the inner voices screaming. Recognize that feeling? Who in your life is carrying that kind of pressure? Because that's exactly where this journey begins. We can imagine his mind is working overdrive, not to solve the problem. The problem has no solution. His mind is trying to escape the pressure. Every angle, every justification, every rationalization. Maybe this isn't real. Maybe I misunderstood. Maybe I can find another way. This is what happens when a mind is isolated, with a choice it cannot unmake. It starts building escape routes that don't exist. But Scripture reveals something remarkable. Fear isn't the problem. Fear responds to real danger. Anxiety is different. It tries to predict competing futures and control it before it happens. That's why God's command throughout Scripture isn't don't feel fear. It's don't trust your predictions. Trust my character. Romans 8:15 says, "You have not received a spirit of fear, but a spirit of adoption, belonging to someone trustworthy." That's what makes this moment so powerful. Abraham's 3-day journey wasn't about becoming fearless. It was about deciding which voice he would listen to when fear was screaming. And now that decision becomes real. 3 days, he arrives at the mountain, his son beside him. No more walking. No more time to think. Now comes the moment where thought becomes action. And this is where the story changes. To understand how extraordinary this moment is, you must comprehend the world in which Abraham lived. Across parts of the ancient Near East, some neighboring cultures believed that sacrificing a child could secure the favor of the gods. Fear-shaped worship. The gods were feared, not trusted. Religion was negotiated with, so when Abraham was commanded to offer his own son, everyone hearing this story would have expected the same tragic ending. But it doesn't go that way. Everyone expected fear to win here, and this is where the story changes. Because this isn't just Abraham standing before a mountain anymore. It's every leader standing before a decision. Every parent carrying the weight of a family. Every person facing a choice that has no easy answer. Suddenly, Abraham doesn't feel far away. The pressure may look different, but the question is the same. Which voice will you trust? Because what Abraham does next isn't what everyone expects. It's not fearlessness. It's not certainty. It's something harder. This is exactly where the Bible opens our eyes to a deeper truth. Centuries later, the writer of Hebrews reveals what was happening inside Abraham's mind. Abraham reasoned that God could even raise the dead. Think about that. Abraham wasn't denying reality. He wasn't pretending the mountain wasn't there. He wasn't pretending the command made sense. He was reasoning from something deeper than fear. He chose to trust more than what fear kept predicting, what God had already shown him. Most people reverse those two. We trust our predictions and ask God to prove himself. Abraham did the opposite. He questioned his fears. Because God's character had already been tested. That's what Scripture means when it says, walk by faith, not by sight. If you've ever stood between what God has said and what fear keeps whispering, then you already know this tension. Because one day, your faith won't be tested by what you know. It'll be tested by which voice you choose to believe. So what exactly did Abraham do that allowed him to keep walking when everything inside him wanted to stop? There's a pattern in his story, a kind of code. 3 decisions that changed everything. First, read the pressure. Here's what nobody teaches you about pressure. Pressure isn't punishment. Pressure is data. When your chest tightens before a difficult decision, that's information. When you feel the weight of people depending on you, that's information. Whether you're protecting a family, building wealth, paying off debt, managing a business, or pursuing financial freedom, pressure reveals what you value. It reveals what you're trying to protect. Pressure reveals what you're afraid to lose. Most people spend their lives trying to escape pressure. Abraham spent 3 days drowning in it, but somewhere on that mountain, something shifted. He stopped seeing pressure as the enemy. Abraham started reading it. Think about Michael Jordan. He didn't become iconic because pressure disappeared. Pressure kept testing him, yet he kept showing up. Abraham's story was profoundly different, but the pattern is familiar. A man who kept moving under pressure. But reading the pressure wasn't enough. He still had to decide what the pressure actually meant. Give pressure enough time, and it starts sounding like wisdom. Second, calculate from God's track record. Anchor your future projections on guaranteed alpha, not fear's predictions. Then something remarkable happens. Abraham tells his servants, "Stay here with the donkey. The boy and I will go over there and worship, and we will come back." Did you catch that? Not, I will come back. We will come back. How could he say that? Because something had changed. Not the mountain, not the command, but his interpretation. Modern psychology calls this cognitive reappraisal. The situation stays the same, but the mind begins interpreting them differently. Abraham wasn't pretending everything would just work out. He was weighing evidence, like a wise investor who doesn't panic at today's market. Fear reacts to the moment. Abraham studies the track record, the evidence of God's faithfulness. Romans 4 explains why. He did not waver through unbelief, but became fully persuaded that God had power to do what he had promised. Abraham knew the facts. He was old. Sarah had once been barren. Isaac was the promised son. None of those facts changed. What changed was the conclusion. Third, walk before the answer. Walk before certainty arrives. The decision had already been made. Long before Abraham reached the mountain. Now, the mountain would simply reveal it. Fear waits until the outcome feels safe. Faith walks because God's character is already settled. It was evidence-based conviction. It wasn't blind optimism. That's what Scripture says. By faith, Abraham obeyed when he was called, not knowing where he was going. Hebrews 11:8. Abraham's first step didn't create his faith. It revealed it. As they climbed, Isaac finally asked,
"Father, where is the lamb?"
Abraham answered with one sentence that would echo through history.
God himself will provide.
Not, I hope, not, maybe. God himself will provide. Abraham didn't know how God would provide. He simply knew God would. That's the difference. At the very moment, everyone expected fear to have the final word. God stopped the knife. A ram appeared. The sacrifice was provided. The promise remained. And Abraham named that place Jehovah Jireh, the Lord will provide. Thousands of years later, the mountain still stands, not because of its stones, but because of what it continues to reveal. Every generation eventually reaches its own mountain, not made of rock, but of decisions. Moments when the future isn't clear, yet a choice still must be made. That's where our story began. A businessman, alone, surrounded by numbers, yet carrying a pressure they could never measure. His mountain wasn't in the wilderness. It was in that room. And perhaps yours looks different too. The question has never been, what will happen if I move? The real question is, who have I decided to trust? Abraham's transformation wasn't instant. It formed over 3 days of pressure, calculation, and movement. By the time he reached Moriah, he wasn't becoming someone new. He was stepping into who obedience had already made him. That's why the mountain didn't create Abraham's faith. It revealed it. And one day, your mountain will reveal yours.